Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to this week's version of the Athletics LLC. Hope everybody's had a good week and a lot of banter and topic conversation about what we had to talk about last week. As you can see, we have a very esteemed guest with us this evening. The very knowledgeable Mr. Anson Henry is joining us tonight. So we are very excited to have him join the quest for knowledge or to spill knowledge this week. With that being said, the rest of the guys, you guys good?
Yeah, we are.
And we have
I'm
as
happy to
he
be
is
here
well
as
known in this
well.
circle, the baby, the godchild, the nephew is with us for a
Mhm.
while. We'll see how long that lasts.
But
And
hey, baby boy.
welcome,
Huh?
Kyle. Always good to see you.
Oh, you sleep.
All right, so we're gonna jump right in. Okay, so like there's been a lot of athlete movement in professional sports, and when an athlete, well, not in professional sports, but in track and field. So when athletes move, there's always the question, why would he or she do that? And I think that I would like you guys to discuss the variables that would make an athlete move because it's not always just X's and O's. So give us your opinions on the value of a coach getting you on the medal stand, the value of a coach getting you to the top of your game when it matters the most. And because he has a medal and has now coached a medalist, we're
Oh, I
going to
see.
start
Ah.
with
Oh,
the
oh.
dorsiflexologist on this one.
Though I feel like he
I
just flipped that question into two questions right at the very end.
Yes, yes.
I didn't.
um,
That was a different story. We'll get to that later. We'll get to that
well, we'll start with, the fact that I always spew. I have been spewing for 4 years now, right? The average medalist has had 1.5 coaches. So I think that number kind of quantifies or at least frames where this conversation should go. For me, in my opinion, the value of a coach athlete relationship is immeasurable. Like if it's good, it's a light switch too. It's not a toggle switch. If it's good, you should keep it. If it's not, it's not, and you should not no matter how many times you try to shoehorn it into being good, it won't be good.
Okay, so now I'm going to push the pause button for you because you're going down a path that has been well traveled, right? So, like, I need you to talk about, or if anybody else wants to go next and why he thinks about this, because we know he's going to have an answer.
I got an answer.
So, okay, but so my thing is, okay, so I don't think people understand the value of the coach in the trenches. It's not about the athlete relationship. I'm talking about the coach,
Oh,
the
yeah.
buttons a coach can push, the things that a coach does. Anson and Kareem, you guys have been in the wars of a 100-meter final, right? There is no more intense situation on this planet in track and field anyway than
Right.
a final of 100 meters. You
Yes.
know, so that's what I want people to understand, that it's just not about the ability to talk technique. Discuss like how important the coaches were for you guys in those situations.
Okay. I got you. I know exactly what you were trying to get. I mean, I think to me it's invaluable. Like having a coach that understands the wars that you're in, and can speak to mindset, I think it's immeasurable, right? Like, unfortunately, we never know what we don't know, and having a coach that's been in the war is invaluable.
Okay.
And I only really know that because Lyndon said it like multiple times this year that a lot of the things that we went through this year were easier for him to relinquish and let go and just trust because he knows that I had actually been exactly where he is. So
Okay.
I wasn't pontificating. I wasn't kind of like putting together, well, the book says, like, I know this is right because I've done this. It's immeasurable. And
Okay.
you can always tell a difference between newbies in the situation and veterans of the wars. and I'll let the rest of the panel go from there.
And so, Mr. Henry, our esteemed guest, what's your thoughts on this?
Well, a few things. I have to go back and forth between whether or not it's necessary for your coach to have been there before, because I find that sometimes if the coach is a former athlete, they're constantly taking you through their experiences, which doesn't necessarily mean that's supposed to be your experience or something that you're going to respond to. So they respond to certain stimuli, certain ways, certain tactics, certain cues. So I think that can get in the way sometimes. And another point that just came to my mind as you were speaking is that depending on the event, sometimes maybe that determines how important it is to stay with a coach, or how important the relationship is. Because, I mean, from 100 standpoint, there's got to be a coach has to take you through a bunch of journeys mentally. You got to be able to stay calm. You got to be able to be able to get yourself up for things. You got to be able to handle pressure. You got to understand the value of the moment, all kind of stuff. So I think the priority of staying with a coach and not moving depends on the event. I used to run 100, so I would put the 100 at the front as far as making sure you have a good, solid relationship with your coach for an event like that. And as far as like why people leave sometimes, this isn't really spoken about enough, but sometimes you just don't like the coach. Like, no matter how much success you've had, I don't like you. And it's more like the season comes to an end. Thinking about dealing with this cat for another season. It's like I'd rather, I feel like I might run better going to the track.
So you're saying sometimes the relationship just gets stale, right? The relationship just
stale, annoying. Sometimes coaches can be overbearing. Sometimes coaches can be invasive. So sometimes it's just like, I don't like you. So that's why I left. And it's debatable whether or not that's a good enough reason. Because I mean, yeah. So I think that when athletes make a move, there's so many reasons that it could be. But the first thing people will say is that, well, dang, you were running so fast last year. Why the heck would you leave? That's dumb. But it's at the end of the day, the athlete is who has to deal with whatever they're dealing with said coach.
Right. So Governor, what you got for me, buddy?
Yeah. So very interesting topic. And, I think we're now in an era now where every single move that these athletes at the top are making is being magnified by 10 million now. We're hearing about it immediately, and a lot of us that are in the know and that are in this profession, are questioning. I mean, one of the biggest things that you hear is like, why would you leave your coach, or why would you leave a system the year or less than a year before the biggest meet of your life is coming up? Why would you make this move? Right. And again, to Anson's point, there are a million reasons. You could go back to, again, stale, all of that stuff. And a lot of it is, in my opinion, it comes down to relationships. 100%, in my opinion. It comes down to you being able to look your coach in the eye and trust that male or female and saying, all right, I all hell's about to break loose, but that man is looking at me and he's got that look in his eye, and I'm like, I'm good. Whether it's a matter of the coach knowing what buttons to push and when. I'll give you a great example. 1997, I opened up with 996. Okay, up until that point, this is at USA's. Up until that point, zero expectations in terms of me running the 100. So it was fun and games. It was like, oh, this is new. This is interesting. And the first time that I heard my coach with an expectation was right after that race. I go up to him and my mind is just buzzing. I'm like, Coach, I just broke 10. And for the first time since I started with him, this is the fall before, he says to me, wait till they see you in the semi. And I'm like, oh, what? Wait till they, so there's more? and it sounds trivial enough, right? Of course there's more, right? There's the semi's next. The road to the finals next. But in my mind, that was my Hail Mary. That was my, breakaway dunk with nothing left on the clock. That was everything at that point. So, I had never experienced, okay, he knew what I was capable of, right? But how much of that was actually conveyed? And how much of that was actually like, dude, you're on track to run X time. You have been doing X amount of things. And that's a part of the communication that was lacking.
Mm-hmm.
And so at that point, I was like, oh, so those are the things that, it really comes down to how locked in that coach is with said athlete.
Okay. All right. Clyde and Kai, what you guys have for us?
The baby wants more bananas. So that may or may not work in my favor. But like I said, I heard two questions in there somewhere. The value of the coach in the trenches is, as dorsiflexologist said, it's invaluable. I've seen so many coaches make the little subtle difference or the little subtle change that delivers an athlete to the performance that they need to advance through a round or deliver a medal. And I've also seen a bunch of coaches choke it away through their own actions, through their own doing too much right before the races and X, Y, and Z. So now you want to talk, huh? Thank you. So for me, if I was going to try to succinctly wrap up the original question of why athletes make these changes, insecurity. Whether or not that insecurity is rooted in the deterioration of a relationship or rooted in the deterioration of confidence in the coach to get the job done, or rooted in, really, you just want to be the star today, don't you? That's okay. You are a star. You can scream all you want. Just wait till not right now, please. Or rooted in the fact that, as Anson put it, that relationship just may have become frayed. Ultimately, it's the panic and the anxiety of the no longer do I have confidence in this person to help me on this journey. That insecurity leads to all kinds of decisions. And yes, sometimes those decisions are rushed. Sometimes those decisions are at the worst timing possible. Sometimes that insecurity leads to panic that puts you in a worse situation. We've seen hundreds of examples of that. Yeah. But ultimately, I think those coaching changes, especially those last minute in an Olympic year type of coaching situations, come from an insecurity of some sort. Yes, Sparks, baby boy. Yes.
All right. So let me just add a little bit of this and then we'll move on. But so I want
to ask something about your question though before we move on.
Okay, so I'm gonna start with George Williams. You can't know the player if you're not in the huddle. So nobody ever really knows what's going on, right? But like what I was kind of leaning towards was those, so let's talk about a guy like John Smith, who we've heard that has this magical way of just getting his athletes ready in the moment, right? I remember 2004 Olympic Games. We're going out on the track in the warm-up area for the 200 meters, and I heard Trevor Graham say to Justin and Sean, "Be prepared. The crowd is going to go nuts during the 200. They might not let the race start because the Greek had been, remember, he had been accused of doping. See, those are the instances I'm talking about where coaching is invaluable. You know,
Yes.
John Drummond talked about one year when he heard me talking to Tony McQuay right before he got his silver medal in the 400. You know, and I think that those are the things and the reasons why people don't understand the value of a coach who's been in that situation, who's been through the wars. Because I don't think it's so much as Anson said about, you know, obviously I never ran in the Olympics, so I can't tell you how it feels to be in the Olympics. All I can do is coach you to what I know to be your skill set, and that speaks to the athlete-coach relationship we've been talking about.
Well, a great point, and a great example of what you're saying is the switching of mentalities, it's a very general statement, but you think about the Bolt era and how that changed the way sprinters approached Olympic finals, World Championship finals. All of a sudden, Wallace Spearman was a clown out there, was having fun out there. But it started with Bolt's coach, who understood his athlete and understood that the lighter that I make this moment, all right, yes.
That's a great point, but yeah. He did that with Bolt, but Wallace's coach didn't do that for Wallace. Wallace was just mimicking Bolt. So he had no idea. So some of that goes on, but let's also understand that it didn't help Wallace nearly as much as it helped Bolt. Right?
Exactly.
Right.
No diss on
and
Wallace.
It's funny because
we all
Mills,
love Wallace, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
It was funny. Mills will take credit for that. Coaches will take a lot of credit for athlete success.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I mean, would he be teaching that? Is he actually teaching that?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, see, that's a good point, because he might have just said, I need you to go out there and relax and be yourself, and then Bolt actually put the act on himself.
Yeah.
Okay, so dorsiflexologist, what's your question so we can move forward, sir?
I mean, there's a lot of history and knowledge on this panel. So just really quickly, can any of you think of a scenario where someone has made a move of coaches for the Olympic year and it worked out well for them?
Ooh.
Sydney McLaughlin.
Mm-hmm.
She made a move just before.
Yeah,
before Tokyo.
In 19, she was with Joanna. 21, she was with Bobby.
That's correct, and that's the only example I would have had.
But there's slightly an asterisk
because she had 2 years.
She had a year buffer. She had that buffer.
But it's still the right it's still the right answer. And I think I asked the question.
It's Sydney.
I asked the question.
It's Sydney.
Sort of to prove a point, though, right? Is that, and this is the part that so many people who pontificate about this who aren't knowledgeable don't get. Look, if you find yourself in the wrong situation after a World Championships and the next year is the Olympic year, you're stuck like Chuck, right? Because the wrong situation almost certainly can't be made right.
And and I will say this too, it worked out okay for Karan.
Yeah.
He was the world champion in 2007, and then he went on to be the Olympic champion in 2008 after switching coaches. It didn't elevate his gold medal status, but it didn't hurt him. It hurt him after 2008, but it didn't hurt him before.
Okay.
Yeah.
And again, I didn't ask the question thinking there was no answers, right? I mean, there's obviously some answers, but I think so many people don't understand like what a rock and a hard place situation those people are in.
Yeah.
Right. Like if you deem that the situation that you are in is untenable and can no longer be where you're going to be successful, then obviously like human nature is I got to move. But history says everybody who moves.
Yeah. Here's the thing. See, we happen to be living in the I'm going to bet on myself era, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody sticks their chest out and says that. And the other thing too, there's very few professional coaches that have enough class to say you should probably stay where you are.
Yeah.
Right. Instead of they say, I can make you better, but then it goes bad, and then it's just a bad situation. So
that to that point about the class of it, let's be real. At the professional level, everybody has a rooting interest in these results, right? So a lot of the coaches are thinking about their own pockets as well as anybody else when somebody new wants to come.
Exactly. Yeah.
But let me say this, and the reason that I think a lot of this doesn't ultimately work out, I don't care, and John Smith is a genius. He's a genius. Part of the reason that you see the transitions to John working as well as they do in year 2 or year 3 is the simple matter that John will tell you this himself. The psychology piece of this is everything. I don't know you when you just show up.
Yep.
It takes at least a year for me to figure out the ticks and the kinks and the things that make up your personality. You can't just push a button because you think you're good at pushing buttons. You have to know a person to push their buttons at a certain level and get them to do what they need to do.
And
so
that's where people's egos need to be checked at.
Exactly. And that's why, I mean, listen, if you, for the most part, there's some clowns out there, but most of the coaches at the professional level, they all know their X's and O's. They all know training theory. They all know those things. The truly great ones are the ones that can do the psychology work. And I'm sorry, microwave psychology does not work. And you have to form real relationships with these people to get it to work.
2 very quick analogies. As a young coach, I listened to Joe Walker talk, and he said to me, it always takes me a year for the athlete to figure me out and for me to figure out the athlete. Right.
Yes.
And then the flip side of that was Tony Wells, who would always say, any fool can coach another fool for a year or 2. And with that, we're going to get off that subject. But so now we're halfway through the NCAA football season. Who do you guys view as your favorites for the Heisman Trophy? And we're going to start with the King of Petty on this one.
Well, first of all, since it's thrown to me in that space, the Heisman Trophy is a highly overrated award. But hey.
No haze. You have an opinion or don't you?
Of course I do. The front runner, the front runner for the Heisman Trophy has always been Caleb Williams. Is
that your front runner?
Sir, let me get to my point.
Okay, well, I will get to your point, please.
If I get more than 10 seconds to get there, I'll get there.
Okay, I'm going to stop before you take me someplace I don't need to go tonight.
The front runner for the Heisman Trophy has always been Caleb Williams of USC, but he's the current Heisman Trophy winner. But if you've been watching the games and you realize that 1, USC isn't that good, and 2, he just had a horrific game where he threw multiple interceptions. If you're paying attention to things on the West Coast, I don't really see how USC lands the ship where you would need to land the ship for Caleb Williams to win that award again. So for me today, my current Heisman frontrunner is actually Michael Penix Jr. of Washington, who just had the game of his life, took down Oregon at home, and right now Washington controls their own destiny to either end up undefeated or with 1 loss. Washington would now have to lose 2 games for Oregon to get into the Pac-12 championship. And I don't see how that ultimately happens. So for me, if Washington ends up being the Pac-12 champion, Michael Penix, I think, walks away with the Heisman because he's had a better season statistically than Caleb Williams, and he'll be the one winning when Caleb Williams isn't.
And Governor, what you got for us?
Ditto. Michael Penix Jr., after that performance against Oregon, elevated himself to being the Heisman favorite, in my opinion. And I think it's just a matter of keeping that ship sailing down the ocean now. And, I think there's a really good shot. I mean, if they do what they need to do, they're going to end up in the CFP. And, he's going to it's going to be a great season for him.
Okay. Mr. Henry?
I would still say Caleb Williams, but I think it's more so that style of player. I like mobile QBs, and I like dynamic players, and I think that I don't look too much at losses interfering with getting away of winning a Heisman, because it's such a team sport, man. Like, if quarterbacks take, mind you, he didn't play well. He didn't play well this last game, but he what he's shown, I feel like that's someone I'd like to see get the Heisman. And there's a lot of season left, kind of. And I think
so
that
you're saying you don't think one game should cost you the Heisman Trophy?
no, never, no,
Okay.
no. But that's how people talk. You know what I'm saying? That's how it usually is. Like, well, they lost now, and I don't know. I never weighed too much on the team because I mean, I don't know. He's a really good player, and I feel like
He's the best player in the country.
He set a standard. Yeah, and
the
I
best
like
player in
when
the
the best players get it. You know what I'm saying? Not necessarily the person on the best team per se.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
All right, dorsiflexion, what you got for me, buddy?
Well, I think one thing that's very, very, very interesting, because I don't think this is probably, God, I don't know when this would have ever happened, but the top 4 candidates for the Heisman are all west of the Rockies.
Kind of crazy.
Right? And so, like,
wait, who are the other 2?
Again, this is my opinion, right? So
Absolutely.
Was it Bo Nix Jr.? I say his name?
Bo Nix, yeah.
And the guy who's going to have the best statistical season of everybody, but has no chance of winning the Heisman, which is Shedeur. Listen, you can thumbs down all you want to. That just tells me you don't really watch football, because what that dude is doing, whether you like it or not, look, he doesn't play defense for them. So let's not go into that. All I'm saying is this.
Right.
When he has the ball in his hand, what he does, dudes that do that play on Sundays and play well. But what I'm saying is he has no shot of winning the Heisman. And that's what I just said. So you can roll your eyes, do all those things all you want.
Based off his team. The
4 best candidates, there is no doubt. And if you don't want to stick Shedeur in there, that's fine. Then there's only 3 real candidates. But all of them play football from the Rockies West.
Mm-hmm.
And the bottom line is this is your opinion, just like he had his, and we let him have his, so we're going to let you have yours.
And it's odd, and it's definitely odd for voters, right? Because 75% of the voters live east of the Rockies.
Yes.
So they all are now forced to stay up and watch football games, which they never really do.
Okay, so all that being said,
I think Penix. I think Penix Jr. is gonna win the Heisman, because I don't see anybody stopping him from doing what he's doing offensively. I don't see his team losing any more than 1 football game by the time that the vote happens. And if we're going to be clear, Caleb Williams is the best football player in college football, but he probably had one of the shortest odds of winning the Heisman, because Heisman voters hate to vote for people 2 years in a row. Yeah. If you go back, like, look, Tebow should have won twice in a row. Herschel should have won twice in a row, right? There's a whole stable of people that should have won more than one, right?
You're not wrong about the back-to-back voting. I mean, it's
and
same
so
thing.
I would have bet a large amount of money on Caleb Williams at the beginning of the year not winning the Heisman. Has nothing to do with his abilities.
But let's be clear.
All that being said,
can I say one thing?
Yes, go ahead.
Do y'all feel that Shedeur is dealing with a different level of pressure as opposed to the other candidates, though?
No,
everybody is watching
maybe
Colorado games scrutiny. Right now. Everybody,
maybe not pressure, but definitely a different level of scrutiny.
Everybody is watching him.
I mean, there is no way that if you're going to be realistic here, that you can say he's not dealing with a different level of pressure and hype. Just because of where he is and who his father is,
absolutely.
The whole pressure,
absolutely.
hype, the whole deal. I mean, it's because his dad is who his dad is. Mm-hmm. That brings a whole different dynamic to football, no matter where that dude's playing, if his dad's the head coach.
Exactly.
So to say no so quickly, I don't know.
And a lot of new viewers, in college football this year.
I'm with the dorsiflexion on this one. Okay, look, I understand that you're not a Prime fan. Right.
That's not true. You don't get to say that. It's not true. Nope, not true. So not true. Not true.
You're definitely
not true. Is that how it is for real?
He's not a hype fan. He's not a hype fan.
Okay, you're not a fan of the hype around it.
I'm not a fan of the hype. You're absolutely right.
Okay, but at the end of the day, like, I want to know if there's somebody east of the Rockies that you guys think is playing great football.
Oh, I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr. is playing excellent football, but he has no chance to win.
That's not the question.
McCarthy, the QB at Michigan. I mean,
yeah, he's playing really well.
Steady.
The QB at North Carolina.
Absolutely.
Yeah. He's playing well. All of those dudes belong on the dais in New York before Shador.
Well, okay, I have to ask this question. Why would you say that?
Because I am not going to sit here and pretend in 2023 that just because Deion Sanders showed up in Colorado that we're going to change the rules for how this thing has worked forever. If your team is no good, you don't end up on the dais in New York for the Heisman. I'm sorry.
Okay. No. I just wanted to make sure. Just want to make sure that was your reasoning. I'm okay with that. I get it. I thought you were talking about his ability. It doesn't matter
what the rules are overall. This is dorsiflexion's opinion.
Yes, but he asked me a question.
Hold on a second. Because you went all this shit as soon as he said it.
Absolutely.
Because it's his opinion. So if he's the guy choosing the dais, he only can put Kai on there if he wants to.
He could, but dorsiflexion is a better human than that. He's smarter than that.
But you also have to understand.
I see where he's coming from.
Man, I'm also a lot older than you are, and there have been players on not good teams on the dais.
Great. When was the last time that happened?
Why does it have to be when is the last time the four best players were west of the Rockies? I'll wait.
Yeah, I mean that's cool. I'm
okay then. So if that can happen, why can't this? Look, when the season's over, dude, his statistical body of work is going to be ridiculous.
Yes,
and he's working with less. He's
all right, cool.
Exactly.
Anson, you know who watch this, and all of them should remember this because it's fairly recent, and I swear at least one or two of us talked about this in the past. You know who Shador is by that logic? He's Colt Brennan playing for Hawaii, and no one was talking about putting Colt Brennan on the dais. No one was like, "Oh, Colt Brennan should win the Heisman." No.
I don't think anybody
he wasn't dealing with the same type of pressure though.
Colt Brennan put up those numbers in the WAC against nobody.
Yes.
Shador has put up. Okay, timeout. Listen, you don't get to have it both ways. If Shador throws for 400 yards against SC, yes, we know they're overrated, right? But it's against SC. If the first game of the season, Shador throws for 400 yards and has 6 total incompletions against TCU, sure, they're overrated, but at the end of the day, this is what happened, right?
Yep.
Okay.
And he was doing this without his number one target,
of the Pac-12 season against the best conference in the country, and he's going to lead the country in passing yards.
Well, sir, all I would say to that
without Travis Hunter.
All that's
without
cute.
Travis Hunter.
All I would say to that is this. We all know TCU plays no defense. The only defense worse than Colorado in the Pac-12 might be USC's. How did he look against Oregon, a real defense? How is he going to look against Washington or UCLA or Utah? Stay tuned because you ain't going to see 400 yards and 5 touchdowns against real defense. We are going to
stop this right now because it's an opinion-based question that has gone totally off the rails for no reason. If dorsiflexion wants to put my man on his dais, well, they put him on there. That's all that matters. Everybody has their opinion. Shador. Exactly. If Shador wants to be on there with the dais, I'm good with it. But we don't need
I'm not mad at that, man.
Thing of, disrespecting people for their opinion. So, all right.
Very disrespectful.
So, yeah. After an interesting weekend in college football and a season that's turning out to be fairly chaotic, when looking at the latest rankings at where the top 4 are Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, and Florida State, which of these teams do you trust to finish on top by the end of the season? It could be one, it could be more. Pardon me?
Define on top.
To finish in the final 4? Is that what you're asking?
Finish in the final 4, yeah.
Got you.
So can you read the list one more time just so I make sure I don't
Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, and Florida State.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Henry, would you like to toss this around a little bit first?
I was going to say Georgia.
Okay.
As far as balance, I feel like they've shown they have what it takes. And considering the schedule they're going to deal with, you never really know what's going to happen. But up to this point, I would say that they look the strongest. I would go with them.
Okay. Dorsiflexion.
I trust Georgia and I expect Ohio State. I think Florida State's completely and utterly fugazi, but nobody in the ACC.
So why is Florida
Ouch.
State fugazi?
Ouch.
Jeez, man, y'all are rough crowd tonight, man.
He's right. He's right.
I don't think that they've played one real game and they beat one I'm going to call them real team. That the win against LSU is a real win, right? But if I look at what they have coming, like I could easily see them lose to both Florida State and to both Florida and Miami. As crazy as that is, I could see that happen. Only because if somebody says to me, "Well, what does Florida State do that's dominant?" Yeah, that's what you're going to get is silence, because they're not a dominant football team at all. And to me, to be in the Final Four, you have to be dominant. That's why the other team is either Ohio State or Michigan, because unfortunately, I don't think they can both get in.
They both got in last year.
They did, but last year the conference was stronger. This year, the top 4 teams in the conference are strong. The bottom conference is terrible. Yeah, and I would say if there's a conference that has a chance at 2, it would be the Pac-12. And I don't know if they can do it at this point. So I think you're gonna get one of each.
If the scenario plays out the way it did last year, the Big Ten will get 2 teams in.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see when the rankings come out. And like I said, I will always tell you guys who the Final 4 are. Yeah. And I'm never wrong, so we don't have to worry about it. So
I'll give you an actual answer. I'll say Georgia and Ohio State.
Okay, and I will ask you this. Okay, but if Florida State does win out, do you think they belong in the CFP?
If they win out, you can't even keep them out. Not even possible.
Okay. No. I'm asking you if you think they belong in it. Yeah. See, you guys got to listen. Listening and reading are very fundamental skills.
We try to listen.
Want y'all to remember he said that.
Yeah.
Want y'all to remember he said that.
I'm the best listener on this panel. And I'm not the guy that changes my answer to fit what I want.
If Florida State wins out, Florida State deserves to be in the final.
Thank you very much. Okay, Clyde, what do you have for us, sir?
The question was, who do I trust to remain in the top 4? Was it not?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I trust the team with the absolute weakest schedule moving forward to be in the top 4 to stay there, which is Georgia. Georgia has the softest, most simple path in there, so they should easily be able to handle that, like they always are able to handle it. Easy to go undefeated in the SEC. I would trust Michigan over Ohio State. I don't believe Ohio State to be a real competitor versus Michigan. I think Michigan's better. They've been better the last 2 seasons. I agree with the dorsiflexologist. I do not believe Florida State is real. Though if they run the ACC table, that would mean that they would have to beat Miami. They would have to at some point beat North Carolina, who I believe will beat them. And therefore, if they are 12-0,
I don't think they play each other this year, do they?
No, they don't.
But in the championship, they'd have to.
Well, I don't know about
there's
that.
Actually
on the regular season.
Here's what's crazy. Here's what's crazy about the ACC. You can go look it up. Florida State, Louisville is still undefeated, right?
Yeah, the 3 undefeated don't play each other.
They don't play each other at all
in the regular season, right?
So all 3 of those teams could end up undefeated at the end of the regular season, and some weird scenario will dictate who goes to the championship.
I think the ACC scenario is it's like the team who is furthest removed from the last time they went.
That's even worse than the coin toss.
Yeah,
one way or another,
it's bad.
One way or another, Florida State would have to win the rest of their schedule, beat Florida, Miami, and then win the ACC championship. If they're undefeated, sure, I still won't like it, and I'll still predict that they get bounced in the first round.
Right.
But they will have earned, you all know me, I'm an earned guy. They will have earned their place at the table.
Okay, Governor, what you got for us, buddy?
The general consensus is correct in my opinion. Georgia has the easiest schedule, and despite Bowers being out, who's been their most potent weapon, their defense is too good, and the east side of the SEC, I just don't see anybody that can mount any kind of opposition to them the rest of the season.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to tell you, like the old guy here. Georgia is a very talented on paper, and they've played one good game so far this
They
year.
played one. Yes, they have.
One.
Yes.
So I'm not going to anoint them easy schedule or not in the easy league that the SEC is or not, whatever. I'm not going to just go out on a limb and just make them just guaranteed to get there because they're not playing well, you know. I do see a way where Michigan and Ohio State can both be in the Final Four. That plays out the way it did last year. You know, they go undefeated. They meet. I think it's in the shoe this year. No, I think it's back in Michigan this year, and it's a bang up game. Ohio State might be hang on a thread based on what the other conferences do, but I'm not exactly sold on Florida State, but I'm also not. I don't think Florida State's schedule is as tough as Georgia's going forward because there's nobody on their schedules that's that good either. So you know, we're making this big noise about Georgia's schedule, that what Florida State's schedule is not very good at either. So they can very easily run the table in that situation because the people they have to play, I don't think anybody's jumping up and down and betting against them against anybody on the rest of their schedule. If you look at their schedule closely, you know. So, you know, all that being said, it could be any of those four. So just quickly, without being disparaging against any league or anything, can you guys give me, I think obviously the team that I personally think should get in the top four by the end is Washington. You know, they've definitely played to that level right now. Is there anybody else out there we think that could or should be in there by the end of the year if they continue to play well?
Washington and Oklahoma have better wins than the people above them and should already be in the top four. And I hate
see, there you go. See, again, you didn't listen.
Yes, I did.
No, you didn't. Did not.
I'm just going to answer the question.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I think Washington, a one-loss Oregon, and Oklahoma all have legitimate chances at ending up in the Final Four.
Okay. Mr. Henry, what do you think?
I would say a one-loss Oregon as well. I went to Washington State, so it's not even going to come out of my mouth that Washington could be a possibility.
Well played, because it's always very hard for me to say that Michigan is going to beat Ohio State at anything.
Right.
Yeah, I get
very
that.
hard. Yeah.
So when Anson gave his answer, this was a couple questions ago. I was like, this is Wazoo talking. This is not. There's no way.
It's not gonna happen.
So, Governor, what do you have? Who do you think?
I'm right there. I think the surprise of the season has been OU, in my opinion, so far. Like that, the turnaround has been absolutely amazing. And so, I mean, if I had to pick a school that no one's probably really talking about so much, it would be OU for sure.
Okay. Now I have a question. Like nobody mentioned the possibility of Texas playing their way back into the playoff scenario. Is that possible?
Oh yes, absolutely. And
they went out. They beat OU in the championship game.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll say this: the only reason why I didn't is because I actually think that scenario is going to happen. I think they're going to win out and they're going to beat OU, and I think that's going to cost the Big 12 all the way around. Yeah, because see, that's the issue, right? If both Big 12 teams have one loss, they are immediately worse than every Pac-12 team that has one loss.
Yeah.
Because of strength of schedule.
Yep.
Right. So like a one-loss Oregon is way better than both of those teams if they only have one loss, just because of strength of schedule.
Okay.
One loss Michigan, a one loss Ohio State, both substantially better if they only have that's the reason I said that. Because I think Texas is going to win out.
I believe Texas is going to win out as well, and I would love to agree wholeheartedly with the dorsiflexologist on that, but he is forgetting one quintessential point here, that labels absolutely matter. And a one-loss champion from the Big 12 named Texas is going to trump almost any other program not short of Ohio State. There's no way that a one-loss Texas and a one-loss Oregon Oregon gets the nod, even though they deserve it and have a better strength of schedule. There's no way that happens.
Well, I mean, you're right though, because the one-loss Oregon
Too
isn't going to be
sexy.
they probably won't
sexy.
be the Pac-12 champions.
They can't be. Washington has to lose twice.
Well, but that means it can happen because Washington can lose twice, right? They
I mean,
can lose a game that they don't play well, and they can easily lose the Apple Cup, easily.
Oh, I mean, yeah, rivalries are rivalries. I
Because
understand.
rivalries are rivalries. So Oregon could for sure be a one-loss Pac-12 champion. But I agree, if they're a one-loss team that doesn't play in the Pac-12 championship, and Texas wins with one loss, that's tough.
Texas and Notre Dame are some of these labels. Ohio State are some of these labels that are just going to find their way in.
Well, okay, hold on. If you're going to go that route, OU's got the biggest label in the Big 12.
Okay, so once again, we have gone off the rails. The listening skills are terrible.
We answered the question. We just gave more. We all answered
you
the
gave
question.
a whole lot. Yeah,
okay, so then that's not listening skills.
Oh, it absolutely is.
No, because we answered the question.
Hey, you're not listening.
Mind you, it's great talking college football with you guys. It's become a very interesting season for me this year. I've come back into it simply because of a young Shedeur Sanders and what they have going on. They're not in the picture anymore, but they've gotten me back in the door. You know what I'm saying? I think they've gotten
a lot of people back in the door. You know, I think that kind of excitement is good for the sport. So before I go before I go into our bonus question, I'm going to tread lightly with this next thing. Mr. Henry said you had a couple of questions for me that you wanted to ask when we got into the show. Please be nice.
You know what? I've always wanted to ask you a couple things. I've always wanted to know where the name Mouse came from. And I've always wanted to know who is allowed to call you Mouse. Because I always figured it's like an age thing. Like you got to be a certain age to call.
Actually,
my came in here. I've been calling you Coach Halloween. It feels.
Yeah, no, you can call me Mouse. It's Mouse,
respect.
Coach Mouse. It's just it's no problem. And my junior high school track coach gave me that when I was 12, 13 years old, and it stuck with me forever. Yeah, I was a very small guy. I was very quiet. And he said it looked like I was scooting across the floor when I ran. Very corny story, but it's the truth. Rest in peace, Mr. Eugene Shellman. That was my junior high school coach. He gave me that name, and it stuck with me forever. Yeah, it's followed me where I'm going. I mean, there are actually people in this world that don't really know what my name is, to be honest with you.
Because of Mouse. Okay,
exactly.
So you just allow it. You don't there's never a scenario where you're like,
actually, because the only people that would my mother refused to call me Mouse. This was just not happening. My siblings do it jokingly. They call me Coach Mouse now. Obviously, my children don't call me Mouse, but I'm sure if somebody says Mouse, they know my children know what they're talking about. So, I would say the vast majority of people in my life call me Mouse.
So all your athletes, even the college ones.
Yeah, I'm Coach Mouse. Just about. But most of the older guys, like it stopped right around Kyra Jefferson, Gino Hall, Najee Glass, that group. They all start calling me Coach Holloway. So from that group down, most of the people now call me Coach Holloway. But before that group, it was Coach Mouse. Now, like Kyra is a clown, so every now and then she forces herself to call me Coach Mouse or Mouse. But most of the older guys call me Mouse, and most of the new ones call me Coach Holloway. But they're all allowed to call me Coach Mouse if they want to.
Okay.
All right.
Cool.
That was your only question?
That was my only question. I'm saving the rest of my questions for when we have our one-on-one interview later on in the season.
There you go.
No problem.
Yeah, I don't want to. Okay. Respect.
So the bonus question is this whole to dorsiflex or not to dorsiflex issue, and who better to lead this off than the dorsiflexologist himself? I mean, what you got for us, man? I mean, obviously, one of our esteemed colleagues, Mr. Ray's Take, has gone to his platform and basically said that it's kind of an overrated issue and shouldn't be talked about. So what do you got for
Big
us?
up the one named Ray, by the way. Have to big him up before we all slander him. Big him up first.
We all love Ray.
It's probably not going to be favorable for the remainder.
We love Ray, and nobody's trying to take any shots at Ray. The question is about dorsiflexion, so I'm going to keep the question scientific and not personal. The body is covered in fascia. Fascia is like a gigantic rubber band. I think every single one of us has played with a rubber band. Rubber bands work best when they are stretched and then let go. So at the end of the day, dorsiflexion makes a ridiculous amount of sense to me. Having done it, and been the lab rat, I know that it works. At least it works for me. That way I can keep things all about myself. And I think dorsiflexion, if the question is to dorsiflex or to not, the answer is a very simple yes. Because see this finger? Let me show you. I'm going to show everybody. When you go like this, right, it goes fast. But if you go like this, it goes faster, right? Because your fingers, as are your feet, are surrounded in fascia. There's your answer.
Wow.
People.
Okay, Coach Clyde, what do you got for us on this topic, sir?
So I took a personality test a couple years ago, and I learned that my default personality type is the debater. And if you read,
you didn't need a test for that. We could have told you that.
I understand, but people in my orbit needed the test for that. So if you read through that, it will tell you that I don't care what it is you wish to argue about. I'm here for it as long as you can defend your point of view.
Mm-hmm.
There is no actual way to defend the opposite of this point of view. And the way it was defended was one of the worst arguments I've ever heard. So until I hear some science-based, at least good theories of why we should not dorsiflex, I'm going to err on the side of science and tangible realities that we've all lived in, personal experience, and even YouTube clips of finger tests that all make a hell of a lot more sense than the opposite side of this current debate at the moment. Dorsiflex, yes. Whatever else is going on out there, I need a better argument.
Mr. Henry.
Well, first off, I want to give Ray some respect for taking in a very adverse opinion in a scenario like this. Yeah. Very pridefully, very enthusiastically. But as far as just thinking about how the body moves, right? There's something that I don't like about thinking of a knee going up and a toe pointing down, because it's almost like you're leaving your foot behind. It's almost like the toe's going a different direction than your knee. And it's almost like with every stride, every millimeter makes for, over a period of a race, you're, between men and women, roughly between 43 to like 50 strides or something like that. So those inches add up. So for the foot to come up as the knee's coming up, you're propelling your knee up. And when for the foot to go down, as your foot's going back down, you're propelling your leg back down. So it's promoting motion both ways, to dorsiflex on the way up, to bring the foot back down. So it's promoting the movement of the direction that you want the leg to be going. If your knee's coming up, to have your toe lagging behind doesn't seem favorable as far as trying to propel your body as far as I see it. So I think you guys are laughing. This is very disrespectful.
No, I'm laughing at how nice you are being.
Yes.
So
I'm not laughing
because
at
I'm
anything
usually
you're
not
saying.
nice to Ray. I'm usually, if you've seen us on camera together, I'm really not. We're usually not nice to each other. It's just part of our. It's a part of our relationship.
It's the diplomacy.
Yeah, because no one's going to side with him on this. There's nobody. So
the
let me just
laughter is
allow him a
about
little
the
bit, yo.
diplomacy.
No one is going to side with him on this, right? So I think that it's something he could revisit after hearing a lot of the feedback. There will be a lot, and yeah, that's the way I look at it. I just feel like the dorsiflexion, and he's put emphasis on bringing the toe down. I'm totally for that, but when the leg's coming up, the foot, the toe would need to be coming up with it as well.
Oh, but Governor, I know you got some knowledge to spill on this one, my friend. As only you can spill it.
Is there going to be another finger test?
Okay. So here's the thing. Anytime someone comes up with a contrarian opinion on something that pretty much everybody is in lockstep with, okay, I am going to start going, okay, I want to hear this out. I want to hear where we're going with this. And so one word stuck out to me that the contrarian has used, and the word he used was relaxed. Okay. Now, if I am taking that and I'm trying to apply it, now you're saying that, so let's go with this. So we're hitting here. If you're in a relaxed state, this is going to happen before you go again. Okay? Every single time you collapse, you are losing time. You are losing precious seconds. Okay? Precious tenths, hundredths, whatever. When you are dorsiflexed, you are now primed for the ground. So every time you hit the ground, you are ready to react. That is something that should be academic. There's nothing in terms of sprinting.
Ouch.
Of sprinting.
Ouch. Academic. Ouch.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh.
Okay, so first of all, Ray, Ray, we love you. We do, and appreciate you bringing this, your contrarian opinion to the forefront. Like the governor, the whole relaxed thing causes what, and I know Ray knows this because we've had this conversation. You can't spend a lot of time on the ground and run fast.
Exactly.
Ray knows this, right? So it's a simple for me. It's stabbing versus grabbing, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Stabbing is a graping force. Grabbing is a acceleration force.
Yep.
I think Ray might have did this on purpose just to get people talking.
I think so too. I really think so too.
Knowing Ray as we do, right? He wanted to stir the pot a little bit.
Absolutely.
We appreciate it.
I'm not mad at that at all.
No,
exactly, me either.
Not at all.
So I am going to lob up the other bonus questions since we've kind of gone through this quickly. Okay. What do you guys view?
That was really fast.
Yeah. What do you guys
really
view
fast.
as the most unbreakable record in all sports?
All of sports.
All sports.
Yes, that's what he said. That's what the
All
man
sports.
said.
Reading is fundamental, gentlemen.
Y'all are.
I read it. I just wanted to be clear. All of sports.
The most unbreakable record in sports, not in track and field. Unbreakable record in sports.
Would you like me to just go first and piss everybody off, or go last?
Oh, go first.
Go first.
Go first.
It's a record and a half for you. So the most unbreakable record in sports is Tom Brady, 7 Super Bowls. It's not getting broke. No one will come close to it getting broke. And in reference to that record, here's a little stat for you. Tom Brady never played in one NFL regular season game where his team was mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. Think about that for a second.
That's a Derek Jeter stat. I know that stat. It's a good one.
I got
Okay.
one. Can I go?
Okay. Yeah.
8 straight NBA titles will never be done. Ever.
And who is this, sir?
We will never be in that
there's a bunch of them, aren't there?
You got to tell me who did it. Like, you just can't
The
put the
Celtics.
stat up. Okay, thank you.
Boston Celtics. 8 straight
Bill Russell?
NBA titles. Yes.
Okay.
And others.
Yeah. Right.
Will never
But
be done.
he was the captain, right? Okay.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Henry.
100 points in a game. Will Chamberlain.
Did that actually happen?
Jesus
Oh,
Christ.
Oh, don't ruin this for me.
Yes, it happened.
It happened.
Okay, I'm just making sure. Okay, yeah.
Making sure.
You're about to ruin the staple in my
But here's
sports
the
history.
caveat to that. It's happened more than once.
Yep. Cheryl.
Really? In the NBA?
Cheryl
did
Wilson
it too.
scored 100. I mean, Cheryl Miller scored
Cheryl
105.
Miller. Yep.
Yeah.
See.
But come on. Come on.
And hers
did.
wasn't in much more than a half.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
But
And I hate
guys.
to ruin that for you, but it's happened more than once. So yeah.
Okay.
But
Well,
we're gonna limit it to the NBA. Yeah.
Yes.
If we're I didn't know about that, by the way. But
It's Anson. You
I think
you gotta see the story. It's hilarious.
The governor will share the story with you.
Yes.
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
dorsiflexologist, what do you got for us?
I mean, all you guys had cute answers.
Oh,
Oh,
cute.
wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
What
because
does cute mean?
Well, because I get why you say those things, right? But they are, and we all have these, they are opinion based, right? Like, of course, Clyde doesn't think anybody is going to win as many titles as Brady. And I get why he thinks that, right? And yes, it would be damn near impossible for any team, especially in free agency. That's the hardest part,
That's
to
what I'm
run through
saying.
8, right? Okay. So
Arrow will not allow it.
hear me out on this. Winning 300 games as a pitcher in Major League Baseball makes you a Hall of Famer, lock, stock, and barrel, right? There may never be another 300 game winner because of the way pitching is now managed, right? Guys don't pitch 40 times in a year, and they certainly don't pitch 6 innings in all 40 times, right? Even if that was not the case, even if baseball was old school baseball and you could still win as many times as you could in the 70s or 80s, when I tell you nobody is getting the 511 wins that Cy Young has, 511. If you win 20 games a year, you win a Cy Young. If you win 20 games a year for 20 straight years, you are still 111 games short. It ain't ever happening. It's not physically possible.
You're absolutely right. But you didn't have to disparage their answers by being able to be right. There you go.
Yeah, that was very disrespectful.
They're disrespectful.
I love.
Moving forward. Let's make sure that's
how
the last time you say anything about me is cute. Moving forward, I think that's.
I know that's the only
disrespectful.
time where cute's not good, right?
Exactly.
No, it's not good at all. No.
you know what else is actually cute though, and I think we will all appreciate this. Much love to our hostess, Miss Chewy, who is out recovering. All of a sudden, Lucius is in the host chair for a couple weeks, and he's trying to play like peacemaker referee, all positive. We got 4 years of footage of you disparaging.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. I never disparaged anybody in my life. My God, that's what a disrespectful thing to say about me, man. That's terrible.
Hey, I'm here for it. I'm the king of petty. I just find it ironic.
And you're being very petty right now.
Lucius
But like
I'm
doing the job that you asked me to do to keep you knuckleheads under control. And it's impossible.
Great job. You're doing a great job. You're doing a great job, Mouse.
And according with this record thing, it's going to be broken continuously for a while. But by the time he's done, I do believe that LeBron James' scoring record will be someplace that we never be seen again.
That was going to be my number 2.
Yeah.
Right. I believe
Hmm.
that. But
I mean,
obviously, it's like,
what's funny through all this, right, is like we might actually be watching the record that ends up also never being broken. Like, what the hell is the pole vault record going to be when Mondo's retired?
Oh man.
yeah.
That's fair.
So in reference to track and field, what do you think will be the toughest record to be broken?
Mondo.
Well, no, because Mondo can still break.
I don't.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Yeah. He's a cheat code, right?
But to be honest, though, I do still feel like the pole vault is untapped.
Yeah, well,
I do
according
feel
to
like
Mondo, it is,
some
yeah.
supreme. So there's we haven't seen like Mondo's an amazing athlete. Don't get me wrong, but I mean we know that there's athletes that are faster than him. There's athletes that are more powerful than him that do other events. But say a specimen decides to do he's a specimen. I'm talking about like a supreme specimen decides to do the pole vault. Like we know that event could be.
Yeah.
I think there's room.
Okay,
room.
so
I do. I'm just based off of that.
I'm
just
gonna go okay before I'm accused of being disparaging. But Governor, what's your thought on this?
Oh man. Boy, it's.
So let me just lob something up there for you. I'll make it easy for you. Do you see anyone in the next 5 year breaking the men's 100-meter record?
Well, now you put a cap on it?
Oh.
5 years?
course
No.
Exactly.
No.
But
What about the 200-meter record?
Not till those shoes start going up to like the kneecap.
No.
And to start promoting
the 200 either.
Knee motions and ankle motions.
I actually think the 200 is a lot more breakable than the 100. I don't think Bolt ever maxed himself out at the 200, and I think there's not a lot of people, but I think there are people currently running that before their career is
What
over.
about does Sharika get to FloJo's 200-meter record?
Oh, I think she can. I think she can.
I think she can as well. Yeah.
I think she can. Other than Mondo, and we're keeping him out of this because he's still competing, so he can break the record. I've said this. Unless it's done by Sydney, I don't think anyone will ever get close to Sydney's 400 hurdle record.
You don't think Bolt can get close?
No, sir. I've said that. No.
Okay,
now, how are we?
Hey, there you go.
No. I'm just saying. How are we defining close? Because different people mean different things.
No. What do you mean by close? Let me ask you that.
Do I think Bolt could run 50.9? Sure, but I don't think that's close. I don't consider that to be close. I don't think.
Yeah, Bolt ain't breaking it.
No.
Nah.
Okay. So what do you think keeps Bolt from breaking it?
Speed. She's not fast enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's getting faster though. I was very surprised at how fast she ran in the open.
I know exactly what you're thinking, and I know what you're gonna say.
Who, me?
Yes.
Oh Lord.
No.
Pick your mind.
The
Dorsiflexion.
decathlon record.
No. So
Go ahead and say it.
listen, here's what I'm gonna say. Jackie's heptathlon record, I think, is almost impossible to break. But what I think might actually be impossible to break is her heptathlon 200 record. It's 22:30. I just don't think anybody's ever listen. I saw that, and I still don't think I saw that.
Hey,
I just don't.
I will
think
tell you this though.
any combined eventers ever running that fast.
I will tell you this. I accept the challenge, though, sir. Thank you for the motivation.
I knew I was
You think Anna
poking
could
the
break
bear
that?
when I
You
said
think Anna could break that?
I'll let you know in a couple of years.
Oh boy.
But I
I'll put it to you like this. Okay, so this is a conversation. This is going to be had again between the EP and I. Trust me, he ain't gonna let this go. Just remember, Anna's 22 years old and she's run 22.7 already, and I'm gonna leave that right there.
Oops. I understand.
Sounds favorable.
And he may be saying that just to poke at me anyway. So.
I mean, just not checkers.
Exactly. All right. Well, unless anybody else has anything of note that we need to get off our chest.
Hold on.
Oh, women's 400 too. Women's 400.
Jan Zalesny's world record in the men's javelin
Yes.
ain't happening. Yeah, okay.
So we can't start talking about stuff like that Anson, because Clyde's going to lose his mind. So
I will only say this.
Really?
I will only
Oh
say
yeah,
this.
yeah.
I'm not gonna lose my mind.
You
Sydney
think-
can break that
you
You
record.
think he can get broken?
In
Sydney
the
can break that record.
She can run-
javelin's current
I told
iteration,
you.
it will never get broken. Now, if they make other moderations and modifications and science it to death like the super shoes, then it is what it is. But 98-23 or whatever the hell it is no.
Well, see, and Clyde, I will say this to you: if you think that Sid can break the world record in the women's 400, then there's a possibility that Bolt can break her record in the 400.
Yes.
400 hurdles. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same disparity there, my friend.
Okay.
I just think speed wise, Sydney would have trouble getting down to that record because what's the woman's name that has the record right now?
Juice.
She ran. What? That's another factor though. This is another factor.
Exactly.
Her name's not
There's
Juice.
nothing
My
you can
bad.
do about that.
I thought her name was Juice.
I'm saying.
This is why I said we should.
I looked at her stats. She ran 10.9. She was a legitimate. She had legitimate
wait a minute.
speed.
Well, okay. Well, I'll say this: if Allison Felix can run sub 11, so can Sydney.
Okay. What's Alice's?
Hey, I seen Sydney's 60 last year, so that I don't know where that.
I
would come
understand
from anytime soon.
completely. I understand completely.
So,
Look,
yeah, we can see that one.
we have to look. We all know that Clyde is a big Sydney fan, and
I know that now.
He believes
I know that
Sydney
now.
can conquer the world, and
But wait a minute, sir. You've got to wait. No, you're disparaging me.
No, I'm not. No, listen, you're not a Sydney fan.
No, actually, I'm not.
You don't. I thought you were a
Listen.
Sydney fan. I apologize.
I have immense respect for the unicorn talent that Sydney is. I am a bigger fan of Bowl than I am of Sydney. Sydney is Sydney's boring.
Really?
She's very boring. She's
Oh no, I think she's boring, but I'm talking about athlete wise. Like,
oh yeah, I'm a way bigger fan of Bowl. I like interesting, interesting interviews and it's listen. If you ask me who the best female athlete in our sport today to this point was, I'm still going to say Allison. But I respect Allison in her career and what she did. Right? Allison was boring. Allison wasn't.
She's boring.
Like she was fun to watch, and outside of the races, it was boring.
Oh, righty then.
Time out.
This
man did not just say Allison Felix is the best female track athlete ever.
I did.
Oh, I thought you had an issue with the boring part.
We will
I'll take
definitely continue this discussion after the show, gentlemen.
Just to mess with the dorsiflexologist. I'll take Allison.
Yeah, we will. Thank everyone for tuning in again this week. Appreciate the support as always. Thank Mr. Henry for showing up and keeping us entertained. Man. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, man. This was fun.
As always. And to the rest of the world out there, we'll see you guys in 7 days. Be good.
So